Welcome everyone to the Partnering to Shape the Future session. During this panel, we will discuss the importance of creating networks of support to advance the pillars of the Hispanic Promise: prepare, hire, promote, retain, celebrate, and buy. We will deep dive in the role of partnerships, and we will run through examples of successful alliances from which to get inspiration as you consider the priority areas for your company. So without further ado, let's divine. So welcome to all panelists and speakers today. Veronica, I would love to start with you. So let's dive in. What is the role partnerships play in the development of D&I strategies?
Yeah, Lizette, great question. So when I think about DEI strategy and partnerships, really they go together. It's proving that building intentional partnerships create a positive driving force within our organizations when it comes to growth and build sustainability. Trust is also something that is important to the Hispanic community and our Hispanic values. So we use our partnerships as a way of building trust with our community. And one of those partnerships was signing the Hispanic Promise for us. With this, we reaffirmed not just the university, our colleagues, but also the students who serve, our commitment to champion Hispanics in the workplace. But we're also very proud to say that we drive internally a very diverse, inclusive culture that comes from a foundation of our culture of care, and then we continue to foster belonging. So we continue to remain committed to make sure that our partnerships are not just meaningful, but also that there is more than just a one-way street, that we continue to drive that work where we're benefiting as much as our partners are benefiting from us. Our partnership work is led by our Vice President of Campus of University Partnerships, Scarlett Howery. And her and her team are focused on how can we align with organizations where our missions are similar, or how can we enhance our mission? I think that's extremely important. Is we are a very mission-driven organization, and we want to make sure that our partnerships and our partners, we continue to create that opportunity to engage our students, but also to enhance each other's mission.
Thank you, Veronica. Christina, what's your take on the role of partnerships in the development of strategies?
Thank you. Very similar to what Veronica said. So at Levi Strauss & Company, our reputation is everything, but we also know that our reputation is earned. And so by partnering with Hispanic Promise, we're able to live up to our commitment to serve the Hispanic community, but also with Hispanic Promise, maintain a contemporary view of what the community needs. In talent acquisition, we don't often see beyond the resume and the application, and our partners have a closer relationship with their constituents, so they can help us do some really great matchmaking between roles at LS & Co. and what the needs of the candidate are. The other thing is that we don't always know the unique needs of the community, but with our partners, we're able to address what is happening in a more relevant, on-time way. So that way we know how to invest our resources and our services to make sure that we're doing and investing in the right things.
Perfect, beautiful. I think you're both absolutely right. Trust is the beginning of every relationship, so very well said. So let's move on. Rocio, I would like to go with you. Can you share with us what is your methodology to find partners that you know will be successful in achieving the desired impact for your organization?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we focus on technology. So when we say technology companies, those are the typical Google, Facebook, all those technology-based software companies. But then also we started expanding our reach to non-traditional tech companies, but that have a technical approach or a technical department, say Nike, and they have an artificial intelligence team. So excuse me, we partner with them, but we haven't had the need of seeking each company. They actually come to us, and if they already have a DEI strategy, we analyze what their goals are and see how we can best help them because of how wide our network is and how many programs we have. But then there are other organizations that reach out to us for help because they do not have a DEI strategy, they don't have an ERG group, and then we help them build that. And for both of them, we also, so you can call it consult a little bit. It's not a service we charge for, but we want to make sure that what they are doing is optimal and is effective for our Latinx community. And we do partner with them. That sometimes means monetary investment in our organization so that we can function, but we are willing to leave money on the table if their heart is not in the right place. If this is only for brand image, for giving society the feeling that they're doing something, but they are really only looking outside and not really inwards. So we help them change, or we decide not to partner.
Thank you for that, Rocio. James, what's your take on that?
Sure, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Here at Young Brands, it starts with us in terms of what organizations are aligned with our strategies, are aligned with our culture, are aligned with our vibe. And so what we look at is from a strategic perspective, what are we trying to accomplish? And give you a quick example. If we're focused in the United States, if we're focused on underrepresented people of color, how are those folks, how is that community defined? And then based upon how that community is defined, then we start to search for organizations that can align us and support us with our goals. So for instance, the example here with Hispanic Promise, we have a focus on underrepresented people of color to include Latinos. And in that, what we've learned about Hispanic Promise is twofold. It is about hiring, development, and training and retaining Latino talent. That is one of our goals. So we have alignment there. And then when we talk about what do we need to do so, we need insights, we need information, we need data. And so what happens is through We Are All Human and Hispanic Promise, we are able to access and get that data and see what the trends are, where things are going. And so as a result of that, this organization is able to help support us in our goals to further our representation around the Latino community. As a result of that, makes for a great partner. And then on top of that, from a cultural perspective, the culture that the Hispanic Promise and We're All Human and indeed Claudia has brought to the organization matches our culture. And so it makes it easy for us to sign up with organizations who do that. So that's how we kind of vet our partners as we go forward. And we do it across a number of different venues. There's the people side, there's the customer side, our franchisees, then there's our marketing side, and then also our community. So we look at a bunch of different things as it pertains to our broader strategy, but look for organizations that best represent us and us represent them.
That's great. That's a great point, James. Besides, creating trust with potential partnerships, but being able to analyze insights, information, from those partnerships is really key, to bring the right people to the table. Okay, so let's move on. Veronica, I'll go back with you. What are the things you look for in a partnership?
Great question. I think it goes back a little bit to just to our mission. Like, we want to make sure that we are partnering with somebody that will that we can enhance your mission, but also they'll help us enhance our mission as well. And then how do we continue to close the opportunity gap? Just wanted to share one of for us, one of the main drivers for signing the Hispanic Promise is because we're committed to helping closing the opportunity gap in tech. And then we want to make sure that we meet our students where they are. We used to hear the phrase of build it and they come. I don't believe in that. I believe in meeting everyone where they are. So I want to make sure we don't have to build anything for anybody to come. We actually can go look for them and be right where they are. So really, it's part of that. It's part of us building a support system. It's part of how can we continue to enhance our mission so we can close the opportunity gap. I was looking at some numbers, and this is why it's extremely important for us to do this work, because as of right now, only 26% of individuals in tech are women. 8.3% of that is Hispanic women, and 8% is Black or African American women. So this is where our opportunity for us came to, one, build a meaningful partnership with a Hispanic Promise that is part of our internal and external focus. But then also it's the way that we continue to grow. This is part of who we are and part of our mission. So it really just continues to go back to our mission.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Veronica. Christina, what are the things you look for in a partnership?
We look for organizations that have a commitment to transparency and a demonstrated history of being accountable for their work. So are they publishing annual reports, impact reports, and sharing with the public and with their donors about the progress of their work and the impact of the community or in the community? It's also important to us that we are aligned with organizations that help us achieve our goals around using our social voice. So for example, we have a commitment to social justice, women's rights, the environment, and the advancement of civic engagement. So we look for organizations that are aligned with those goals and help us leverage our brand reputation in all the right ways.
Great, transparency is key, Christina. Thank you so much for that. So let's move on and let's dig a little bit deeper. James, I think I'm going to go with you next. Can you give us an example of a successful partnership that you, your company, your institution has specifically related to the Hispanic Promise pillars, and what was its impact?
Yeah. Wow. I don't want to seem as if it's all about we are all human in the Hispanic Promise, but the reality of it is the example for us is this past year we started doing something called Rise. And Rise is all about refresh, inspire, spark, and engage. And that was bringing together our African-American, Hispanic, Latino talent, director level and above, took our folks to DC. And we had a 2.5-day session there where we were able to engage with the different communities and have some time where the communities were separate to talk about what's going on in their specific communities, but then also bring us together. And an example of that is Claudia Romo Edelman came and did a session along with Marco Davis that specifically spoke to the Hispanic Latino community, but did so in the broader context of both the Black and the Hispanic Latino community, so we could leverage that partnership to speak to both groups and really start to proliferate that knowledge and those experiences across both communities. Said differently, we're trying to connect the dots. We're trying to make sure that these two communities say, hey, look, we're working not separately, but we're working together, but let's have a better understanding of each other. And Claudia and Marco did a nice job of doing that for us. So when we can leverage our partnerships to really help us further both, whether it's information and or coming to us and sharing with and engaging our people, it really helps us drive a couple of things, not just compliance around we are engaging these different communities, but commitment to engaging these communities in a relevant way that is distinctive specifically to those groups, that really says, hey, look, we want to engage you, we want to retain you, and we want to attract you going forward. So that's just one example that we're using.
That's a great example, James. Thank you so much. How about you, Rocio? Any examples of a successful partnership you've recently succeeded with?
Absolutely. So at the moment, we have about 69 partnerships running right now. And for us, I like to make this analogy. Even though we do focus on empowering Latinas, most of our partners, their main goal is to hire senior, experienced Latinas, which is great. This is part of our mission and our goal to make jefas. But then, if in the analogy, I'm the mom, and all of them are my daughters, and somebody wants to marry one of them, I need to make sure they're not just getting married to whatever cholo. So first, I'm going to analyze, who are they? What are they doing? What do they have for them? I don't want them to go somewhere and get divorced in a month. So first, I'm going to look at, what are they doing to retain their people? What programs do they have to elevate them? Let me just throw in a few stats. From my 26,000 Latinas right now, 90% of them, 90, have bachelor's degree or above. Yet, 60-something% of them are holding the lowest positions in the organization. And add this to the mix. The median years working in that position is 6.5 years. Does that make any sense? It absolutely doesn't. And I only partner with good people, and those are my stats. So we absolutely need to fix this. They can have the right intention, but then I see the data. So I do believe that about 70 to 80% of this problem can be even fixed from the inside. Latinas asking for a raise, asking to be recognized. Latinas culturally don't. They believe that they will be rewarded by just doing an exceptional job, but they do need to speak up. So we train them there, but we also try to work with the companies to audit this and acknowledge that we're different so that we can even this out. So we're really like, we accept this. We're not helping ourselves by not asking, but the companies also are not putting their 2 cents to help in this problem. So my good partners are really in it, helping, making sure that's a good house for any of all of my daughters.
Thank you, Rocio. I love that. And you are so right. Representation is so important, but for the right reasons, right? Not just to have just a number or a different person. That's great. Thank you for sharing. So Veronica, let's continue the conversation. How do you measure? Measuring is important because having partnerships is critical, but how do we measure the success of those partnerships? Can you share your experience with that regard?
Yeah, and I think so. There's a couple of things I want to share. One is how we measure our partnerships, our external partnerships, which is mainly what we're talking about. And then I want to talk a little bit about internal partnerships. So our partnerships agreement. So when we start a partnership with somebody, we automatically include a key performance indicators. So they are negotiated by both parties, and we evaluate the partnership performance at a minimum annually, but definitely there is a lot more that goes into that to ensure that we are achieving stated goals. So when I said earlier that we love the fact that it's a two-way street, that we make sure that we also enhancing their mission, that they're enhancing our mission, we want to make sure that that those performance indicators are met, enhanced, but then also, we know that by us meeting that, we are enhancing their organization, and we're also enhancing ours and our internal goals. And then a little bit about internal partnerships. I see this as something very critical. And when I think of internal partnerships, I think of the work, for example, of our business resource groups. I think that we don't always see that as a partnership, but to me, it's one of the most critical partnerships we have when it comes to the internal focus for DEI. And when I think of that, when you think about measuring, there's so many ways to measure that, but one of them is through engagement scores. It's, how are we doing? How can we continue to build belonging by these groups that are employee-led? And so I really look at partnerships in those both of those levels, the internal and the external, and they both have so many meaningful ways that they attribute to our organization's mission.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for making that differentiation, because absolutely there's internal and external partners, and we need to measure all of them. And the ERG groups definitely, are a key component to the internal partners. Christina.
I think it's a great question, and we have learned how to couple the testimonials of our employees and constituents with raw data. So, for example, when we have an event that is hosted by an external organization or even by our employee resource groups, we make sure that we pulse immediately to make sure that the quality of the event is what we think it is. So we take net promoter scores, and we're constantly measuring the success of our programs and if we're landing on our message. We also evaluate relationships on a case-by-case basis. Some nonprofits are large, some are just getting started, and some have a history of success. So we try to focus on the impact of their programs, the good stewardship of funding, their standing and indexes. Are they a best-in-class organization for the community they represent, and of course the verbatim testimonials of the people they served. Again, I have to bring up their commitment to transparency, and with that comes clarity of their mission. So few organizations can be everything to everyone, and some claim that they are, but I think organizations that are laser focused on serving a specific need of a community are the ones that we're most likely to partner with. But I also think that the success of their core programming is a great example of some of the organizations that we partner with. To bring up another great organization, it's called United We Dream. And they've been incredible partners to us in making sure that we are investing in organizations that are engaging youth. And so we're constantly making sure that the relationship is mutual and that the commitment is what we shaped it up to be in the beginning.
Thank you, Christina. I think this piece is so important. So I will also love to have James' input on this, and also Rocio's, because yes, we need to measure the impact and the success of our partnership. So take it on, James.
Great, thank you. I mean, just great comments so far. The only thing I would add is this notion of alignment. How do we measure? We measure, are they aligned with where we're going, with what's going on with us? This notion of the engagement scores, I think, are very, very important. Retention. How do you measure retention? And it was said earlier, it's not just about representation. It's about, can we retain that talent? And so can the partner help us retain the talent that we have? Tangible resources. Do they have tangible resources, things that are supporting the mission, our strategies and things of that nature? And then finally, what type of support that they have to offer? If someone says, hey, great, can you put our name on your website as one of your partners? That doesn't win the day. We need some tangible outcomes, some tangible results, some tangible resources, things that are going to truly help us move the needle on what we're doing. And then finally, what is the impact on the community? So that's those are some of the things that we measure.
Thank you, James. Rocio, share with us, how do you measure the success of your
Sure.
project?
So obviously we are the partners, and we want to make sure that companies see an impact. For us as a nonprofit, it's not about profitability, it's about impact and the change we can cause in the community and in the companies we work for. So as I said before, our vision is to make jefas in every organization. In order for you to have jefas, you need to retain them, as James mentioned. You need to hire more, retain them, care about your existing employees, train them, especially having an ERG and having that ERG achieve success, because that is one of the key factors that can really bring value to your own employees. Now, we also have internal metrics. So we analyze, for example, we have 9 different programs. One is entrepreneurship, let's say. So we want to see how many innovators we build into being an entrepreneur, and from there, how many entrepreneurs we can get into having funding, how many $1 million and above Latinas are being funded. So those are metrics for entrepreneurship. Then we also have a mentorship program. How many mentorships? We use artificial intelligence to match mentees and mentors in different technical areas. And we want to not only measure how many mentees and mentors enter, but how many relationships happen and how successful they end up being. And like that, we have many others, like professional development programs. We have our annual summit where we analyze a bunch of things. And then the most important and cherry on top that everybody likes is how many people get hired and retained by companies. So those are all the things. We're super analytical. We're all Latina. I'm a former Latinas in tech, and all of our employees are very technical. So we're really keen into finding data and analyzing and delivering that data.
Thank you, Rocio. Those are great insights. So we are approaching the end of the conversation, and we're going to get to the critical piece, advice. So I would like to take all the 4 of you, your advice on how to build sustainable and long-lasting relationships. So let's keep going. Veronica, you want to share with us your advice?
Sure, just a couple of things. I truly believe that strategic partnerships provide us with a competitive edge, competitive advantage. Done right, it can really excel us to the next level. It will help our organizations to grow, but also we will help empower each other. And then on the other end of that is, I think when I think of partnerships, I also think about how the world is changing very fast. And if we want to continue to change with it, I didn't say adapt, but continue to change with it and grow. These partners need to also bring that with them so it can continue to be that two-way relationship.
That's great, Veronica. Thank you, Christina.
Yeah, I think what Veronica alluded to, it's the mutual benefit of a relationship with a corporate organization. I think it's critical that you appoint somebody that is managing those relationships, that is constantly maintaining a pulse on the progress of the relationship, that is also consistent with maintaining the quality of the work that we are committed to, but also the quality of the work of the partner. I would also advise on a standard of transparency and ensuring that both sides of the relationship are delivering what they committed to. Reporting is essential, a commitment to impact reports and annual reports, something that reassures the sponsoring organization that they are investing the resources in the right ways and in the right places. And also making sure that you're consistent with checking in with each other. If you have a partnership manager, to make sure that they are checking in at least on a monthly basis to maintain a consistent pulse on what's happening in the community, so we can constantly evolve our needs and challenge our own thinking.
Thank you, Christina. James, your advice.
Wow. Man, I mean, these two ladies have just like shared gold. So, so excited about that. But I think the ads I would have is just make sure it is aligned. It's aligned with your strategy. It's aligned with your culture. And then make sure you have leadership alignment. Leadership meaning senior leadership in your organization. Make sure that the partnership is not just a partnership with a function. It needs to be a partnership with the enterprise, and making sure that all leaders are on board, they understand, and everybody's aligned with what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what we expect the outcome to be. If you don't have that alignment, it makes it easy for folks to poke holes in whether we should maintain that relationship. To Christina's point, if you don't have the KPIs, if you're not tracking that information, if you don't have the transparency, when it comes up for renewal next year, if there's no data, no insights, no outcomes, that partnership is gone. So you have to make sure you have that. And then I'll end with what I believe is the most important part of any relationship. We need to make sure we have an authentic relationship that is led to trust. If you have art, you can sustain the relationship for a long, long time, because if there is a lack of transparency, if there is a lack of results and outcomes, if you have an authentic relationship that leads to trust, the conversation can take place where you can solve for those things without having to get rid of the partnership. So that's what I would add.
Thank you, James. And Rocio, you as a partner, what advice will you give the audience in building sustainable partnerships?
I love listening how companies say this is very valuable. Yes, organizations need to be kept true to ourselves, having impact reports and showing that we're actually causing change. On our side, it is very important that companies are true to this. This is the S in ESG. This is not only saying we care about diversity. We see you. We see contingent workers. We see people growing or not growing. This is what, it's not only about who you choose, it's how you behave internally. And our people are watching, and the younger generations really care about this. So my call to all companies is, before you even go out and partner, audit yourself and really see where are you limping and what you can change to really change the system, because you shouldn't need us. You really shouldn't need us. But then when you do need us, then we're there.
Absolutely, Rocio. Thank you very much. So with that, we're going to round up the conversation for the audience, or that you heard it. I think the main topic here is you're not alone in your D&I journey. Reach out for partners that you can trust, rely, and build over time. So good luck to you all on your D&I journey. And thank you so much, Rocio, James, Veronica, and Christina, for sharing your knowledge and your time with us today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lizette.
Thank you, Lizette.